Right, folks, we're live. It is Friday, December the 20th, going into the weekend before Christmas. Donald is saying he was pondering today, maybe they're right, there'll be a civil war. Only it'll be between the Democrat old guard and the new leftists. Intra-party war. So, take it away, Larry.
All right, folks. It is a Friday. Where do we stand today? On the impeachment front, the question seems to be to a lot of people, what is the difference between if they don't turn the articles over to the Senate for a trial, and if they do turn him over and he is not put out of office, found guilty in the trial? Let me try to explain something that's a little technical and complicated, but it's really not, but it sort of seems that way. If they don't turn it over to the Senate, President Trump stands impeached. For all of history, he will be a president like Bill Clinton that was impeached by the House. Where Bill Clinton was let off by the Senate and was not put out of office and found guilty, if they don't turn it over to the Senate, it will just be that he was impeached by the House and they did not turn it to the Senate for the trial. But he will be forever an impeached president in the history books. You got it? He'll be the second president in our history to actually have been impeached, just like Bill Clinton. What we're fighting for, or what the Trump administration or his legal team and the Republicans in the Senate are looking at and fighting for, is the possibility that if the House does not turn the articles of impeachment over to the Senate for a trial in a timely manner, as I have told you, if they fail to comply with that constitutional requirement, is it possible then to have the House impeachment expunged? Now, what does that mean? That would mean for all of history, it's like it never happened, period. He would not go down in the history books as the second president in American history to be impeached. But that is a big catch-22. Number one, how is the timely manner defined? What is the requirement to meet a timely manner? Now, even if you figure that up in, let's say, days, if, for example, they've got 10 working days or 7 working days to get it to the Senate for trial, if they're outside of that 7 or 10 working days, whatever, then it's over. There will be no Senate trial. They will have missed. Then the Senate could turn and file to try to get the entire impeachment expunged. The problem with the timely manner now is even worse because you've got the holiday season in addition. So even if you conclude that it's so many days, 7 days, working days, but then when you take into consideration that we're in the holiday season and they have left, does that make a difference? So the timely manner is really still up in the air and probably will be up in the air until they come back in January. So, ladies and gentlemen, for all practical purposes, the issue of the impeachment is in a stalemate until after the first of the year. After the first of the year. Between now and then, Trump's legal team and advisors, I assure you, will be working feverishly, tirelessly, to make sure that every legal avenue having to deal with the oddity of what Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats have done, they're going to work to figure out everything they can about what to do with this situation. What I have tried to tell those involved is don't get too caught up in all of this, because all of this means nothing. Do you hear me, guys? It don't mean nothing. Oh my God, Larry, you're saying the president being impeached don't mean anything. Well, in the way I look at it, actually, no, it does not. Whether this nation survives or not, whether we live or die another day as the United States of America, I hate to repeat myself, but it comes down to November the 3rd. I believe that's the date, November the 3rd, 2020. And that's when all of the people in this nation that are eligible to vote will make a determination that will decide the future of this country. And the determination they've got to make is whether or not they're going to go vote. Believe it or not, that's the great decision. The great decision. Are they going to go vote? Are you going to go vote? Because you see, it's kind of academic at this point. If you're against Trump, you're not going to go vote for President Trump. Now, you can be solidly hardline against President Trump no matter what. Or you can just kind of from the sidelines not care much about him, don't like him generally, but you don't watch politics or play politics. If you go vote, you made the decision. We have the same situation on the side for President Trump. Whether or not there's an impeachment, whether it sticks, stays, goes away or not, is not going to change the mind, change the opinion, or change a vote if the people choose to vote, which way they're going to vote. Whether this impeachment's on the books or it's not, whether it goes to trial or it don't, won't make a bit of difference. Because stage is set, folks. The great decision of 2020 that decides the future truly of the world is whether or not you decide to vote. Whether you decide to vote. Now, it's pretty hard. It's pretty cold. But that, my friends, is the absolute truth. You know, I was asked today, or suggestion was made today, that just maybe I have not done a very good job in describing what America will be like if we, the people that support President Trump, and or we, the people that at least like what he's done for the country and doing for the country, or the we, it don't matter about Trump, we ain't voting for a Democrat, none of those idiots, matters not. But what will we see if we don't go vote? What will happen? What will it actually mean down to the family, down to our lives? You know, we talk in terms of the nation and it's going to do this and it's going to do that. But it was pointed out that maybe, sorry about Rosie, maybe I should tell what failure means to the family, to you and your family. Well, let me try to tell you just a little bit. It'll hit us in a lot of ways, but I will start with the thing I know most certainly will occur and what it will mean to you. Right after the election, and they're sworn in, about 30 days in, maybe a little before then, actually this will start in the interim between the election and the swearing in day, between November 3rd and swearing in day, January of 2021. It'll start. There will start being problems in the economy. Specifically, you will start seeing trouble in the stock market, especially in the financial institutions. Their stock and everything, the interest, everything will start going sort of bad. It'll be something going on, but most people won't pay much attention to it because most of us do not have, we don't do business in the stock market, so it don't affect us whether it's going up, down, or whatever. So we think other than those that have 401ks, etc. Now, then they get sworn in. The problem starts to get worse, or at least as the media will tell it, it starts to get worse. And the media will be all over it, telling a unified story like they do on everything you see now that they do. They all get together. They all use the same talking points. They're telling the story the way it needs to be told to scare the living bejesus out of you. The sky's falling. The sky is falling in America's economy. And of course, it won't be the new administration's problem because this started, as they will point out daily, before they ever even got into office. But they will have to fix it. So about 30 days after the swearing in, things will start happening. You'll start hearing of financial institutions having stability problems. You'll start hearing terms that you've never heard of before, terms that are kind of exclusive to the financial industry, things that you and I would say or talk about. And somewhere in the first 90 days, there will have to be some major step taken by the government, by the new administration, a major step to save the economy, to keep the economy from totally collapsing, you see, to keep it from crashing. Now, we've already been through a sample of it like we had in '08. You see, in '08, we learned that the whole world was based off of these huge, giant banks that have taken over all of the smaller banks in the country. And then we learned phrases that we never heard before or hadn't heard relative to this country before, phrases like too big to fail. And all of a sudden you got these giant banks and they were too big to fail. My God, if you let one of these giant banks fail, it just would cascade to the other banks and every bank and every bank. And it would just roll and roll and roll. And we would be in the greatest depression to ever hit the world. So we'll have people reminding us of that. And here it will come again. You see, we thought in '08, when they brought in the people to save us from this massive failure, this breakdown, if you'll remember, President Bush at that time brought in this incredible brainiac team that was going to save us. So they brought in, the number one person he brought in was none other than a bigwig with Goldman Sachs. And Goldman Sachs was one of the key causes of the failure in the first place. I thought, as most of you did, that was a little bit weird, but so be it. We've gone a few years now, and we haven't thought about the bank failure, so it must have worked. Well, we're going to learn somewhere in the first 90 days of the new administration that guess what? The big banks that were too big to fail, that had to be fixed so that it could never be put in that situation where if they failed again, we'd be right back where we were. We're going to learn in the first 90 days that those same big banks are even bigger. Even bigger. So then they're going to have to announce a major development, a major change on a temporary basis to our financial system.
Temporary.
What they're going to come out, huh?
Temporary, huh?
Temporary. Remember that word, temporary. What they're going to do within the first 90 days, they're going to have to announce that we are going into a temporary nationalization of these financial institutions, since they screwed up again and we can't trust them. So therefore, the government's just going to have to come in and take charge. Oh, you're going to hear stories from the experts. Oh, we tried. We gave them a chance. We gave them a chance. They swore to us this would never happen again, et cetera, but it does. It did. So in comes a temporary nationalization of the financial institutions in this country. Now, what does this mean to your family? I gave you that long story just to tell you this. What does that mean? How would that impact every one of you listening to me right now at your home, in your